Hey, welcome! If you're getting ready for the ISC2 Certified in Cybersecurity exam, you have landed in the perfect spot. Today, we're going to do a super focused deep dive into Domain 1, which is all about security principles. My goal is that by the end of this, you'll have a rock-solid foundation to tackle any question the exam throws at you from this area. All right, let's get into it.
So, here's our game plan. Think of it like this. We're going to build a fortress of security knowledge from the ground up. We'll start with the cornerstone. That's the CIA triad. Then we'll build the walls with essential principles. After that, we'll post the guards and set up the gates with controls, draw up our battle plan with risk management, and finally, we'll lay down the law of the land with governance. Let's get started.
First things first, let's talk about the absolute bedrock of, well, everything we do in security. It's called the CIA triad. And no, not that CIA. We're talking confidentiality, integrity, and availability. You simply cannot pass this exam without knowing these three inside and out. They're the whole point of any security program.
Okay, this slide is gold for your exam prep. Confidentiality is all about secrecy. Think encryption and access controls. It's making sure only the right people see the data. Then you have integrity, which is all about trust. It's knowing that your data hasn't been messed with. For the exam, you've got to connect integrity with keywords like hashing and digital signatures. And finally, availability is just what it sounds like, making sure your data and systems are there when you need them. So you're thinking redundancy, backups, and protecting against attacks. Seriously, that exam keywords column, that's your key to unlocking exam questions.
All right, our foundation is set. Now it's time to build the actual walls of our fortress. These are the core principles, the philosophies really, that guide how we design and build out our defenses. This is what makes a security setup truly strong.
Kicking us off is a huge one, the principle of least privilege. The idea is super simple, but man, it is powerful. Basically, a user should only have the bare minimum permissions they need to do their job, nothing more. So why is that so important? Well, it shrinks your attack surface. If a user's account gets compromised, the attacker can only do what that user could do. It's all about minimum necessary access.
Next up, we have separation of duties. This is all about preventing fraud and stopping one person from making a massive mistake. Think about it. You wouldn't want the same person who requests a big company payment to also be the one who approves it, right? By splitting up those critical tasks between different people, you create a system of checks and balances. The exam loves to tie this principle to financial settings, so keep that in mind. This one's my favorite because it's so easy to picture. Defense in depth is about not putting all your eggs in one basket. It's like a medieval castle, you know? You don't just have one wall. You've got a moat, then a big outer wall, then an inner wall, and guards patrolling everywhere. If an attacker gets past one layer, boom, they're hit with another. There's no single point of failure.
So let's see what those layers actually look like in our world. Your security policies, those are the rules of the kingdom. The firewall, that's your big outer wall. An intrusion detection system, or IDS, acts like the guards on that wall, always watching for trouble. And your antivirus software, that's like the internal patrols, making sure nothing bad has already slipped inside. See how each layer has its own job? That's what makes it so tough to break through.
Okay, so we've got our foundation and our walls. But now we need the things that actually enforce the rules. The guards, the gates, the watchtowers. In our world, we call these security controls. They're how we put all those great principles into actual practice.
Now, we can sort these controls into a few buckets. For your exam, you absolutely have to know the difference between administrative and technical controls. Administrative is all about the people stuff, policies, procedures, training. Technical controls are the actual tech, the hardware and software, like firewalls and encryption. Here's a hot tip for the exam. You'll need to classify things. You'll need to know a hiring policy is administrative, while a firewall is technical.
And of course, we can't forget about physical controls. I mean, these are the things you can literally go up and touch. We're talking locks on the door, fences around the building, security cameras, actual guards, all the things that protect the physical space where your data lives.
Controls also have different jobs that work together kind of like a timeline. First, you have preventative controls, like a firewall, that try to stop an attack from ever happening. If that fails, detective controls, like system logs, kick in to tell you, hey, something's wrong. Then, corrective controls help you fix the problem, like patching the system. And finally, recovery controls, like restoring from a backup, get everything back to the way it was.
So we've got all these defenses, right? But how do we decide which ones to use? And where do we put them? That's where risk management comes in.
This is the big picture strategy. It's about understanding your enemies and planning your defense in the smartest way possible. So what even is risk? The exam will want you to know this exact definition. Risk isn't just some vague bad feeling. It's a specific formula. It's the chance or likelihood of a threat like a hacker taking advantage of a vulnerability like old software and the damage or impact that would cause.
Let's break those terms down real quick because people mix them up all the time. A threat is the who or what. The hacker, the storm, the virus. A vulnerability is the how. It's the unlocked door, the weakness they can exploit. And the impact is the so what. It's the damage that gets done. You need all three of those things for a risk to even exist.
So once you find a risk, you've got 4 choices. You can avoid it, just don't do the risky thing. You can mitigate it, which is what we do most of the time. We add controls to make it less likely or less damaging. You can transfer it, think buying cybersecurity insurance. Or if the risk is small and fixing it costs a fortune, you can just formally accept it. For the exam, be ready to look at a scenario and pick which of these 4 is happening.
And last but not least, every fortress needs a set of laws, a code of conduct. This is security governance. It's the whole framework of policies and standards and ethics that make sure our security program is run the right way, effectively, legally, and honorably.
A huge part of governance, especially for ISC2, is the code of ethics. You are looking at them right now, and I'm telling you, you have to know these 4 canons for the exam. Memorize them. 1. Protect society. 2. Act honorably and legally. 3. Provide diligent service. And 4. Advance and protect the profession. This is the code you promise to live by as a security professional.
Now let's get a couple of key terms straight. A policy is the big, high-level rule from the bosses. It's mandatory and it says what we must do. For example, all employees must use strong passwords. A standard is also mandatory, but it gets specific. It tells us how to follow the policy. For example, a strong password must be at least 12 characters long. So policy is the what, standard is the how.
And just to finish that thought, we also have guidelines. What are they? They're just recommendations, best practices. They're not mandatory. So you have mandatory policies enforced by mandatory standards with some helpful but optional guidelines.
Okay, let's wrap this all up with a final checklist for Domain 1. You need to know your definitions, and you need to be able to give examples for everything we just talked about. Can you explain the 4 ways to treat risk? Have you memorized the CIA triad and the 4 ethics canons? Are you totally clear on the difference between a policy, a standard, and a guideline? If you can say yes to all of that, you are in fantastic shape for this part of the exam.
And I'll leave you with one final thing to chew on. Now that you've got the theory down, think about the real world. Of all these principles we talked about, least privilege, defense in depth, separation of duties, which one do you think is the hardest for a real company to actually get right? And why is it so tough? Thinking about questions like that is what will take your understanding from just passing the test to really knowing this stuff. Good luck with your studies.